You're listening to the Pit Pass with Alan Bailey, your personal pass to everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Now here's your host, Alan Bailey.
Well, it's an interesting day here on the Pit Pass. You know, we always get these interesting shows where we have a lot to talk about. Shake up in the points this last weekend, and it was kind of a somber day, you know. I came into this show, I was going to be talking about Jimmie Johnson. He had that major crash there with a handful of laps to go, about 17 laps to go. Boom, he gets loose, he loses it, overcorrects the thing, can't save it, head on into the turn 2 wall at Charlotte. I mean, 15 years ago, that crash would have killed him, but thanks to safety innovations, he is alive and well and with us today, and he was on track yesterday at Charlotte testing the new fuel injection car. More on that a little bit later on, but it's kind of a somber day. I was going to talk about the safety innovations, and that leads me into this. You know, the talk of the garage area, simply put, Dan Wheldon. I mean, not a happy day. I mean, kind of a sad, somber week for the world of racing and the world of motorsports. Yes, he raced in IndyCar, open wheel. Yes, this is a NASCAR talk show, but still, we still are going to talk about it. We're still going to address it because it is such a major impact in this community right now and in the world right now. Dan Wheldon is gone. He lost his life on Sunday while racing out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Another driver that was kind of overshadowed by Dan Wheldon was Rick Huseman. He off-road racer, champion off-road racer, phenomenal driver. I mean, this guy had more car control than you know what to do with. He also passed away on Sunday due to a helicopter crash that claimed his life. More on both of their phenomenal racing careers and their phenomenal lives later in the show. On that note, though, we are going to continue on because that's what both of those drivers would have wanted us to do. Continue on without them, and that's what we're going to do. Keep racing on, as this week we're going to open up the Let's Get That Opening Lap In, presented by audio8ball.com. Matt Kenseth won the Bank of America 500 Sprint Cup Series race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Saturday night for his 21st win and the third of the season. Kyle Busch finished second, followed by Carl Edwards, Kasey Kahne, Marcus Ambrose, Kevin Harvick, AJ Allmendinger, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Newman, rounding out the top 10. Now, while running in the top 10, Jimmie Johnson gets loose and wrecks with 17 laps to go. He finished 34th. Carl Edwards now leads the chase by just 5 points over Kevin Harvick going into Talladega this weekend. Now, teams representing 11 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series cars turned laps yesterday, upwards of 400 miles in total, during the test of the new electronic fuel injection system at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Both NASCAR officials and drivers were optimistic about the continuing development of the system. Plans call for the full implementation of the EFI in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series beginning with the 2012 season and, more importantly, at the Daytona 500 in February. Now, 4 Hendrick teams, 2 Stewart-Haas teams, 1 team from Richard Childress Racing, 1 team from Michael Waltrip, 1 from Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, and a team from Joe Gibbs Racing and from Roush Fenway Racing participated in a test on Monday's test session. Another NASCAR EFI testing session for Thursday is scheduled on October 20th at the Talladega Superspeedway. Another test is scheduled for Halloween night at Martinsville. For photos from yesterday's test session, log on to facebook.com/The Pit Pass. Now, Kasey Kahne climbed from the nondescriptive gray car, dusted off his nondescriptive fire suit, and notably lacked sponsor decor and kind of swag as he smiled. His first day in the number 5 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports had gone well. One of the 11 drivers that were actually on track to test the electronic fuel injection system for NASCAR yesterday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, Kahne said though he enjoyed his time behind the wheel of the car, he can't wait to begin driving full-time in the Sprint Cup Series season at the number 5 car next season. Now, NASCAR's charitable arm, the NASCAR Foundation, filed its 2010 tax return in the last recent weeks. And according to the copy of the tax return, the NASCAR Foundation gave money to 51 groups in charities in 2010 and the foundation took in just a little over $4 million in donations and grants and paid out almost $3 million in grants while spending just a little over $500,000 in salary and employee benefits for 11 employees. And with just a little under $750,000 with expenses, they made quite a hefty deal, and they put forward a lot of money. Congratulations to the NASCAR Foundation. Now, Steve Addington is currently serving as the crew chief for the 2004 Sprint Cup Series champ, Kurt Busch, and over the weekend, he denied reports that he plans to leave Penske Racing after the season. Addington said before the first practice on Friday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the reports, quote, didn't have a leg to stand on, and that it was all written off as pure rumors and speculation. Team over Roger Penske, who was in Las Vegas over the weekend, said that Addington hasn't talked to him about leaving and his contract is still in place. Now, a Goodyear tire test is going on right now at the Auto Club Speedway and is open and free to the public. Both drivers Greg Biffle, David Ruderman, Sam Hornish Jr., and Landon Castle are on track right now. And if you're planning on going to the test today, enter off the main speedway entrance on Cherry Avenue. Parking is free, and the test session will start back up again at the top of the hour and go until 5 p.m. local time. J.D. Gibbs president Joe Gibbs Racing said that his organization has had conversations about the future of Greg Zipadelli, but that a change in his crew chief for driver Joey Logano was not up yet. He said, quote, we've had these conversations, but right now the 20 car needs to run well and nothing else has changed, unquote. Greg Zipadelli, there was rumors that he would leave the team for Tony Stewart Racing at the end of the season. I'm Alan Bailey, and that's your opening lap, presented by PitPass.net. And I gotta say, if you're watching the webcam, I'm reading my report here, and I got a room right next to me is the newsroom, and there's a big window here, and these guys are over here waving and stuff when I'm doing my report. Hi, guys. Kenny James is one of them, just waving away as I'm trying to do my report. I want to point that out. Thanks, Ken. Ken's coming up after my show at the top of the hour. So, we got to take our first break here, but when we come back, more on Dan Weldon, and we're going to talk about that, plus a little bit more on this Goodyear tire test that's going on right now at the Auto Club Speedway, plus we're also going to talk about the electronic fuel injection testing and some NASCAR Nationwide Series news, some schedule news, finally, something to talk about regarding the schedule in the Nationwide Series. So, go ahead and stay logged on. This is the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
6 a.m. came away too early, but Friday meetings over soon. Life gets boring in a hurry. I got something gets me going, and I'm already gone. I got it bad, feeling rumble, turf and tumble under my feet. I got it bad, round and round we put on dance, screaming. I got it bad.
I don't know where you are, but I think you're 5 wide. That's how we need to do it, boys. That was awesome. Yeah, we're either going to get him or we're going to wreck. 4 times, a little upset. Dude, I left him room. What the hell? He always does that. He always crowds people to make people live. And he pisses me off so much. You have no idea.
Like I said, he's going to run out of gas for us to get him. Let's make sure we finish this thing.
That was a bull call.
You never quit. This is how you're going to win a championship. You never quit.
Therefore, we're going to keep scratching off that bucket list for you, buddy.
Stay in it. Wide open. Come on. Come on, baby. Woo-hoo! How about that, boys?
You're awesome.
The Pit Pass with Alan Bailey will return in just a few moments.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, get in there, talk about www.com, you got them naked chicks on there, man, you go click, 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 it's real easy, man.
You're logged on to audio8ball.com. Hello, I'm Allie McGraw for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Our animal companions rely on us, especially during wildfire season when disaster can strike with almost no warning. If wildfires force you to evacuate your home, do not leave your animals behind. Animals left to fend for themselves often burn to death or die from smoke inhalation. If you must leave your home, take your animals with you.
For more information, visit PETA.org or call 757-622-PETA.
When property is at risk and lives are at stake, we get moving. We're the Air Force Reserve. Our mission? An aerial assault on Mother Nature's most daunting adversary, forest fires. Armed with C-130s and the finest reservists, we stop fires in their tracks by dropping thousands of gallons of fire retardant in just seconds.
Drop.
Where there are citizens in need, the Air Force Reserve is there, working to save our forests, to save our communities, and to save lives. Air Force Reserve aerial firefighting may be a part-time job, but it's a full-time experience, and just one of many exciting careers in the Air Force Reserve. Call 800-257-1212 for more information. That's 800-257-1212, or visit us online at afreserve.com. Air Force Reserve, above and beyond.
The world famous Audio8Ball.com.
If today was your last day, it's been a long time coming. Come and take it all. Are we human? Or are we dancers? Let it be, let it be, let it be.
The world famous Audio8Ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
But no remedy I found.
Welcome on back to the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey, and we have a lot of things that we're talking about today. It's kind of an interesting show because we have a real somber kind of low tone to everything because the motorsports world, we are suffering. Dan Wheldon, he was unfortunately killed during the closing, the season finale for the IRL guys out there in Las Vegas on Sunday. And on Sunday, another driver who was killed was Rick Huseman, who was a phenomenal off-road driver. I mean, incredible for my fellow off-roaders. I mean, just it's been coined Black Sunday, and I couldn't agree more. It was a dark weekend. I mean, going into the week, or going into Sunday morning, I was doing research about the R&D work that's gone on into these cars, and really I focused on what's going on with these cars that makes them so safe, the safer barrier. I was going to talk about crush zones, just put a lot of scientific knowledge out there. And, I wasn't watching the IRL race, but I remember where I was. I was, on the computer, and then, my brother comes in and says, "Hey, Dan Wheldon just died." And I looked up at him and I said, "You're lying. I don't believe you. I mean, no." that doesn't happen. But, you know, sure enough, I pop online, and there it is. He died, you know, and, you know, 15 laps into a race, I mean, he went airborne into the catch fence, and that was it. I mean, just a real, you know, reminder of what these cars, you know, are capable of, and these speeds are capable of. I'm not going to sit here and preach that we need to fix IRL, because this is an IRL show. This is a NASCAR show. But I am going to take a moment to kind of reflect on Dan Wheldon's career, because it is hellaciously important to remember the man that really helped a lot for a lot of reasons. Now, you know, the IndyCar race, you know, was a great race going in. However, Dan Wheldon didn't make it. Now, you think of Wheldon. He won the IRL championship twice. He had a wife, Susie, his 2 sons, Sebastian and Oliver. Dan Wheldon, he won the Indianapolis 500 twice, including just this last year. Including the race that he entered in on Sunday, he had entered in 3 races this season. But his real achievements came off the racetrack and in the testing, because Dan Wheldon was actually working with IRL and with IndyCar to try to make these cars safer. His lasting legacy may be the testing work that he's done in the last season for the new race cars that are being implemented in the 2012 season. One of the big areas of focus has been safety. And Wheldon, he coined himself and referred to himself as Test Dummy. He was no dummy. And following his work, and he wanted to make driving safer for his competitors and for his fellow racers. The drivers on Sunday simply did a 5-lap memorial run where they just ran around. The broadcast was silent, and Dan Wheldon is gone. To the family and friends, Godspeed. Now, it's probably one of the most difficult parts of our jobs as broadcasters is to talk about this kind of stuff, because I knew Dan Wheldon. He was a great guy. I met him several occasions. I had the opportunity to interview him. His wife, Susie, phenomenal. His children, amazing. I mean, my heart goes out to the entire Wheldon family and to all of his friends who are suffering right now. My thoughts and prayers are with you. But it's just hard, man. I mean, you know, to see him and his wife, you know, people say, you know, I've gotten some, I can't believe I'm saying this, hate mail on Dan Wheldon. You know, saying, oh, he was an English guy, you know, it's not that big a deal. It happens all the time in IRL. No, it is a big deal, because these drivers, you know, yeah, they risk their lives every time they go out there, but we don't expect them to actually go. You know, I end my show, I say see you at the track. I never say goodbye, because goodbye is way too final. It's way too, you know, permanent. And I never want to say goodbye to you guys. I never do, because I never will. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Dan Wheldon over the weekend, and, you know, you see the reaction from, you know, the guys on pit road, and I mean, plain and simple, it's hard. It was a hard weekend. I mean, we were all kind of struggling with it. We all still kind of are in some ways, because it is such, you know, the wounds are still there. I mean, it's going to take us a while to get over this one. Rick, you know, he, you know, also lost his life. His death was really overshadowed by Dan Wheldon's, and not rightfully so, because Rick did a number of things for the off-road community that, you know, need to go mentioned, because he really, you know, worked his butt off. He had a phenomenal racing career. I gotta tell you, I've never seen anybody drive a car off-road or a truck off-road with so much confidence and so much control of the car. I mean, unbelievable, to say the least. Unbelievable. I mean, this guy would go around blind corners, you know, barreling into the to this corner and that corner, and get into some areas where I didn't think he could get out of. And then, Lord and behold, he got out. I mean, he was a guy who went 110% every single lap, and he backed off when he needed to back off, and he knew what he needed to do, but he just kept going. phenomenal driver. I mean, I'm going to miss him. I knew him as well. And I mean, it's a real painful time, I think, for everyone in the motorsports community. So share your thoughts. pitpass@audio8ball.com. I want to hear from you. I want to get you involved on this. What do you have to say about Dan Weldon, about just his life, about Rick Hughes' life? I mean, let me know. pitpass@audio8ball.com. And on that note, I do want to get to some of your emails here regarding the race over this last weekend, even though it is kind of a downer a little bit. You know what? I actually am going to talk about something else real quick. Now, over the weekend, it was announced that Dollar General moved its sponsorship from Turner Motorsports and the Sarah Fisher Racing team in the IndyCar Series to Joe Gibbs Racing full-time in 2012. Now, they are, to say the least, upping their NASCAR program. They've left open wheel, and they've gone in towards NASCAR and into Joe Gibbs. They're racing. They're going to be sponsoring Joey Logano for half the season in the Cup Series and a full nationwide series season with Brian Scott, and 10 or more nationwide series races to be split between Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. So a pretty good balance of nationwide and Cup. But still, you're going to see them around in the nationwide garage a lot. They're also going to be sponsoring Kyle Busch in the Truck Series for a number of races, which is awesome. I think that's really great. But here's the thing that kind of baffles me a little bit. We're taking away from one team in the IndyCar, from the Sarah Fisher Racing team. We're taking away from Turner Motorsports. Both of these teams are standalone in their prospective series. What's going to happen to these guys? They still need to find the financial backing. Joe Gibbs Racing, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're going to be fine. Yeah, they need sponsors just like everybody else, but still, there's a line. There's a fine line. And I think that maybe, just maybe, I don't know, that they need to sponsor the little guys. Now, we've had new sponsors come in, like Farmers Insurance. They're going to be sponsoring a car full-time for Casey Kane at Hendrick Motorsports. That's awesome. But at the same time, what about the little guys? What about Turner Motorsports? They have to find sponsorship for one of their teams now that they were running full-time in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Now, I mean, Sarah Fisher's out of a sponsor too. That was full-time in the IndyCar Series. So now an IndyCar is out of the loop for another year. Yet the 20 car can go on in the Cup Series, and we have a nationwide car that's going to get sponsored. Yeah, I think that's great for a full season, but the 10 races for Logano and Busch and Kyle Busch's truck, are they necessary? Are they? Really? I mean, nothing against those drivers. I think it's great that they're racing in the NASCAR Nationwide and Camping World Truck Series. However, here you have drivers who race full-time in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, who make their living off that, who are essentially going down to the other series for quote-unquote fun. They're racing down there for fun. You could tell me that you're going to do some tire tests. You can tell me that you're going to be really working on the car and working on some things to apply to Sunday. Bottom line, folks, you're taking money away from drivers who make their living in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the Camping World Truck Series. You have Kenny Wallace. You have a number of other drivers who make their living in the Nationwide Series. Now, they don't have a sponsor, which means that there's one less driver making his living in the Nationwide Series. Reed Sorensen was making his living in the Nationwide Series. You're taking away his job. Plain, period, simple. You can boil it down to that's racing, that's sponsorship, that's the night of the business. Oh, Reed Sorensen wasn't that good, yada, yada, yada. I don't want to hear any of that. Reed Sorensen is a phenomenal driver. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be driving in NASCAR's top 3 series. Plain, period, and simple. Now, my question is this. Does NASCAR need to top these guys and say, hey, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, all these guys who go into the Nationwide Series and go into the Truck Series, do they need to stop these guys from going into those series and essentially taking money away from the guys who are making their living in that series? Let me know. pitpass@audio8ball.com. I want to get your take on this. Also, I want to remind you, the webcam is up in here. You can see the anger on my face on this one. Log on to ustream.tv, type in audio8ball.com, and you'll see me here in the studio Hi, how are you? I'm Alan. Hi, nice. So check that out. You can also log on to facebook.com/audio8ball and then click on the Ustream tab down there. That's our webcam as well. You can view us on Facebook directly. And you can also check out other videos. We record these things. They get put up in a database in, space or wherever they keep the thing. And, you can watch previous shows and you can hear them too. So kind of cool. Ustream. Webcam, nice. On that note, I do want to get back into the Nationwide Series a little bit. Good news, though. There's always good news on the horizon, I hope. Kentucky Speedway announced that its 2012 schedule will feature 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, NASCAR-sanctioned events, highlighted by the return of the Sprint Cup Series, Quaker State 400 in June, and the addition of a 300-mile Nationwide Series race in September. That's right. The Nationwide Series is going back to Kentucky twice this season, and they're hoping that the Camping World Truck Series can also go as well. That'd be kind of cool, too. And they are, actually, for a 225-mile race that's going to be happening on Friday, September 21st, with the Nationwide Series race on the 22nd. So doubleheader weekend for the Nationwide and Truck Series combining together, going out there. I think it's phenomenal. There were rumors going around that we were going to lose some races in both series, prospectively. Not the case any longer. I think it's really phenomenal. So look forward to that. Now, another great piece of news. I'm so excited about this one. Alabama native Darrell Wallace Jr. will get his chance in 2012 to show what he can do in NASCAR's Nationwide Series. Joe Gibbs Racing President J.D. Gibbs said Thursday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway that his team plans to run Wallace in the K&N Pro East Series next season and in some Nationwide Series starts. He's looking to make about 5 or 6 Nationwide Series starts next season. I think it's phenomenal. If you've never seen Darrell Wallace Jr. race, my God, I mean, this guy has got more car control than I've seen in most guys out there. I think that if he has a good car underneath him and a good crew chief and sponsor working with him, he'll be a threat not only in the Nationwide Series, but one day in the near future in the Cup Series. Look out, Darrell Wallace Jr. No relation to Rusty Wallace. Just saying. Different set of Wallaces, okay? Something I do want to mention, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series veteran Brendan Gaughan is negotiating with Richard Childress Racing to run a part-time schedule in both the Nationwide Series and Camping World Truck Series in 2012, filling the gaps that a driver roster that will otherwise be filled by RCR NASCAR Sprint Cup Series drivers. Sources say that Childress will field at least 3 Nationwide Series Chevys next season, one for Elliott Sadler, another for grandson Austin Dillon, and a third to be shared by possibly Brendan Gaughan, and a rotation of drivers including Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Paul Menard. Tony Stewart has also made sporadic Nationwide Series starts for Kevin Harvick Inc. in recent years, and is also a possibility to make starts for RCR in 2012. Now, expect RCR to campaign at least 3 Camping World Truck Series Silverados in 2012, one for youngster Ty Dillon and Joey Coulter. The third possibly shared by Gaughan and the same lineup of RCR-affiliated Sprint Cup Series drivers. So, again, taking money away from guys who make their living in that series. Sound familiar? Kind of a theme of today, taking money away from the little guys. Come on, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. Like, we're talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Now, I do have an email here that I've got regarding this one. This came in just over the wire. It's from Phil, and it reads, Alan, I think that it is ridiculous that some guys are allowed to race in all 3 series. Guys like Kyle Busch are taking away from the Kenny Wallaces, from the Austin Dillons, from the little guys, quote-unquote, who race in these series. NASCAR needs to put a stop to it. Phil, I tend to agree with you. I do. I have another email here from Janice. It reads, Alan, I see your point. However, these Cup Series guys put fans in the stands. NASCAR needs it in order to survive. Janice, I'm also going to agree with you. If it wasn't for Kyle Busch racing in the Truck Series, I don't think that we would see as many people going to these Truck Series races as they would. Now, not saying that the Truck Series isn't a good series. It's a phenomenal series. You have less chance for pit stops. Ergo, these guys have to go out there and battle for every inch of racetrack every single lap. phenomenal racing. However, the issue is that the average NASCAR fan, unfortunately, doesn't really watch them day in, day out, and it's kind of a pain, dare I say, because you have this phenomenal set of racing, and nobody's really paying attention to it. It's kind of a bummer. All right, on that note, I need to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk more about Charlotte, more about Talladega, and back to your emails, of course. This is the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
This is NASCAR driver David Gilliland.
David Gilliland wins in Kentucky. This is one happy crew.
You're listening to Pit Pass on audio8ball.com.
He thought he saw something in the road, but there wasn't anything in the road because there was no road. The trucker, a meth addict, was chased by a shadowy figure on horseback, causing him to barrel through a fast food restaurant, totaling the truck owned by the company that was forced to close its doors, crippling the economy, causing the local government to cut school funding. And so, first a book, then a computer, and now a teacher isn't there when you drop your child off at school and makes you, whether you like it or not, infected by meth.
Visit adp.ca.gov, California Department of Alcohol and Drug Programs.
Now for an audio8ball.com news break.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is using unusually blunt terms to describe what the U.S. wants to see happen in Libya. Clinton told students in Tripoli today that the U.S. wants to see former dictator Muammar Gaddafi killed or captured. Officials usually say they want to see him brought to justice. She said the U.S. will keep supporting Libya as it forms a new government and announced about $11 million in U.S. aid. President Barack Obama plans to sign trade agreements Friday with South Korea, Panama, and Colombia. The deals are a result of negotiations that have been going on for years. The agreement with South Korea still needs approval of the country's National Assembly. The legislatures of Panama and Colombia have already approved theirs. Two freight trains collided beneath a Southern California interstate pass just before 2 o'clock this morning, shattering 6 rail cars along the tracks near one of the nation's largest railway yards. There are no injuries and no homes or businesses were evacuated. A hazardous materials squad was called, but Colton firefighters said none of the tanker cars were leaking. The 6 Union Pacific cars were on their sides under the I-10, 50 miles east of Los Angeles. A nonprofit group that has filed dozens of environmental suits against major companies is now accusing Disneyland of exposing children to lead. The Mattel Environmental Justice Foundation sued the corporate owner of the Orange County theme park in April. That suit claims that stained glass windows in Cinderella's castle, brass doorknobs in Minnie's house, and other items contain excessive levels of lead. The group is seeking a court injunction Tuesday to require Disney to cover the items and post health warnings. A spokeswoman for Disney said the company believes it is in full compliance with state law. The co-CEO of BlackBerry, Research in Motion, made only a brief comment last week about the outages in the software. A conference in San Francisco is where Mike Lizadaris said the outrageous things that happened were unfortunate. On Monday, BlackBerry tried to make it up to tens and millions of frustrated customers by offering more than $100 worth of free software and giving a month of free technical support. Lizadaris also introduced a new operating system called BBX. And in Mount SAC news, Mount SAC will host Project Sister on Thursday and will be holding a self-defense class in Building 9C from 1:30 to 3:30. They'll teach personal safety skills to protect against sexual assault and theft. Women's and men's water polo will host Cerritos tomorrow at the pool starting at 3. And in your sports news in the NFL, the Jets beat the Dolphins last night on Monday Night Football 24-6. And Game 1 of the World Series is tomorrow, and St. Louis Cardinals will host the Texas Rangers. And it is currently 64 degrees in beautiful Walnut, California, with today's high of 86 and tomorrow's of 81. Currently in Long Beach, it's 66 degrees, Ontario 70, and 65 degrees in Los Angeles. And on your roadways, the 10 west at Barranca is slow with 25 miles per hour. The 71 north at Peyton is 39 miles per hour due to a small accident that has been moved to the side. And the 210 west is all green on out. And that is Mika Adams with your Audio 8 Ball News.
Lobster, harvested from the cold, clear waters of Maine, is truly the world's ultimate white meat. It has a distinctive flavor that's both mild and slightly sweet. Simply elegant or elegantly simple. It is easy to prepare. This versatile food can be steamed, boiled, baked, grilled, or stir-fried, and is equally delicious in appetizers, soups, salads, pasta dishes, and sandwiches. Maine lobster tastes great and is good for you too. It is one of the healthiest and leanest proteins available, containing less fats, calories, and cholesterol than beef, pork, or even the light meat of chicken. Maine lobster contains 0.1 gram of omega-3 fatty acids per serving, which may reduce blood clotting and decrease the risk of heart attack. For exciting Maine lobster recipes and tips on cooking and storing, visit our website at mainelobsterpromo.com. Lobster from Maine, convenient, delicious, and nutritious. A message from the Maine Lobster Promotion Council.
You're listening to the Pit Pass with Alan Bailey, your personal pass to everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Check out www.thepitpass.net for all of your 24/7 NASCAR news and your official Pit Pass merchandise. Got a question or a comment? Email the show at pitpass@audio8ball.com. And don't forget to check out the Pit Pass on Facebook and Twitter. Keyword search The Pit Pass. And now, back to more racing action with your host, Alan Bailey.
Just rocking out here in the studio. I'm bobbing my head. If you're watching on the webcam, you're seeing me make a total jerk of myself. I don't care. I'm having some fun in here. Hope you are too. Now, on today's show, we're kind of talking about this, the AF test. We're also talking about this, safety innovations. Jimmie Johnson hit that wall at over 120 miles per hour. 120. Are you kidding me? When was the last time you hit anything at 120 miles an hour head on and lived? Huh? Unbelievable, man. I mean, jeez. But Jimmie Johnson, he survived and he got through that crash unscathed. You know why? Safety innovations by NASCAR. And I'm going to say it because it's the 100-pound elephant in the room. You know what led up to that? It was one event in particular. You go back to 2001 Daytona 500 and the death of Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator. Unfortunately, it took that in order for NASCAR to go, hey, we got to kind of up the safety here. Now, not going to say NASCAR wasn't doing anything before Earnhardt's death in 2001 because prior to that, NASCAR had approved the Hans device to be worn by competitors during competition. A handful of guys were. Earnhardt obviously was not. He died due to injuries on the neck. When he moved forward, that neck, the seatbelts kept him from moving forward, but however, his neck kept going and broke the neck on impact, died instantly. So it was really, a tragic situation, a horrible loss for the sport. We're still feeling it today. Over 10 years later, we're still feeling the wounds from that one. So the question has moved from NASCAR not doing anything. They, up until that point, after Earnhardt's death, they made it mandatory you need to have a Hans device on at all times, or Hutchins device at the time. Now that is no longer. You got to be wearing Hans now. Then they came out with the safer car just in 2007. They began development right after Earnhardt and produced the safest car in NASCAR history, hands down, and really got the ball rolling on a number of other things. Energy absorbing foam on the side doors, more of a halo, more space for the driver between the head and the roof, so there's more of a crush zone for the driver. The front nose takes more of that blunt impact, and same with the back of the car. Also, the greatest safety innovation I think we've ever seen in NASCAR, plain, period, and simple, is basically the installation of the safer wall. Now, the reason that being, there was a number of things that NASCAR went through. They put foam on the outside of the track. They put, steel on the outside of the track. Finally, they came up with the idea of the safer barrier, a hollow steel tube, about yay big if you're watching the webcam, that actually crushes. It actually absorbs that energy. Behind that, you put foam, these big foam blocks that actually crush under that force, and you make it so that it basically bounces back. That way, if a car does hit, the wall will absorb all that energy and compress, and then spring back. Now, not saying it's going to launch a car, but I'm saying that it compresses and it absorbs all of that energy. This safer wall goes right on the outside of the racetrack, right where the old concrete barrier was. It has saved a number of lives. It really, truly has. I can guarantee on Sunday at the IRL race, at the IndyCar race out there in Las Vegas, guaranteed it saved a handful of lives out there. Unfortunately, it didn't save Dan Weldon's life, but it will continue to save lives. And I personally believe, just a thought of mine, every highway in America should have safer barriers. Now, it's unrealistic because of the simple cost of it, but how much safer would our roadways be? You look at, especially here in California, man, you have cars that hit that wall, bounce off of it, and just go across traffic. You've had 18-wheelers barrel through there when they blow a tire where they have another mechanical failure. That's something that can be simply avoided. Plain, period, and simple. It's something that should be avoided, but unfortunately is not. Now, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say that, the roadways are unsafe, don't drive anywhere. I'm not going to say that NASCAR needs to get off their butts and do something. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm simply saying is the safer barrier is a phenomenal safety innovation that's come about in the last 10 years. Due in part to Earnhardt's death, NASCAR had a rude awakening with that, but also really it helps to enforce the fact that this is a safer NASCAR that we're living in. Not saying that a life can't be taken. We were proved wrong on Sunday. However, I'm saying that the racetrack's a lot safer. These drivers are a lot safer, and it's safer than ever. Some people say, oh, the danger's not there. A NASCAR driver can't die. It's impossible now. I call it BS on that. Look at what happened on Sunday. The danger is still very, very, very real. Every time these guys get behind the wheel of a car, plain, period, and simple, it could be the last time that they get behind the wheel of a car. That's fear, that danger, that threat is still there, and it's still very much there. It's not something that's ever going to go away in racing, ever, ever, ever. We can race in bubbles and run around like hamsters. There'll still be a danger of injury and or death in this sport. Plain, period, and simple. Why do we do it? Well, not because these drivers want to go take a risk and because they don't want to die. That's not the reason. These guys race because they love it. The thrill of competition, the racing, it's what they live for. It's what I live for. It's what you live for. And it's something that's never going to go away. It's something that's never going to be defeated. And it's something that human nature is always going to be drawn to. Not the death, the destruction, the mayhem that goes with racing. No. The thrill of competition. The thrill to be better than your competitor. Plain, period, and simple, it's the one thing that everybody wants to do in NASCAR and in all forms of racing. Now then, I do have some emails that have been getting backed up a little bit here, so I want to get to some of them. Alan, do you think, this one is from Robert in North Carolina. Alan, do you think that Johnson still stands a chance at the championship? Who's his biggest competition? Well, Robert, plain, period, and simple, everyone's his competition right now. He's 35 points back right now. He's got to make that deficit up. He's almost a full race out now. If Johnson wins the race and everybody in front of him finishes 36th on back, yeah, he's going to take the point lead. But what's the odds that the 8 guys in front of him are going to crash at Talladega, be the first cars out, and they're all sitting behind him? Not very likely. I think that this weekend is a very critical race. It is what NASCAR fans have deemed the wild card, and to say the least, it is. Anything can happen out there. Now NASCAR has implemented no greasing the front bumpers. The last few restrictor plate races, these teams have actually rubbed grease. Physical lard, grease, Spam, you name it. They've rubbed it on the front bumpers and on the back bumpers simply because when these drivers tuck in behind one another, they rub. They rub bumpers. They're pushing so much they don't want to actually get glued together and then not be able to move and then cause an accident. They want to be able to simply slide across that bumper. Now, it makes sense because in one sense, you don't want to see these guys get hooked together, but at the same time, for the love of God, you're rubbing bumpers at 200 miles an hour with greased bumpers. This can't be good. I mean, it's kind of a recipe for disaster when you think about it. So I think that this weekend is going to be a huge test for what restrictor plate racing is going to look like post-lubed bumpers and post-greased bumpers. So only time will tell what this weekend has to offer. My biggest fear is that we're going to see an incident in practice. I mean, that's my thing. Typically, you see drivers go out there, make 5 or 6 laps. We're done for the weekend. We'll see you on Sunday, boys. That, I think, we're going to see a little bit of. But frankly, when you get to Talladega, what you got's what you got. There's no tinkering the car. There's no, give me 3 rounds here. Let me change out this spring. What you got's what you got. You either got a good pusher, a good drafter, you've got a good leader, or you've got a horrible car that's not good in air at all. You need to be out front or need to be way in the back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Or you could blow your motor 3 laps into the race. It's a complete unknown of this racetrack. Now, should NASCAR do anything about it? Well, we're going to get to that a little bit later on in the show. As for right now, we're going to go ahead and take our final break of the show, but I want to remind you, the injury bug has stuck the MMA world again. Find out all the fighters that will now be out of action coming up on Cage Chat in just a little 10 minutes, coming up at the top of the hour right here on the world famous audio8ball.com. Now, why are you looking at me for? These guys are staring at me in here through this little window. If you're watching on the webcam, they're rude. They just stare at me and make little faces and stuff at me all day. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take our final break. Come back on the other side. We're going to talk about what's coming up on Thursday's edition of the Pit Pass. Go ahead and stay logged on. This is the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on the world famous audio8ball.com. Why would you listen to anything else?
Even as a child, nothing's changed since that day. You're still out running wild. I held out on your trail, getting closer with every passing mile. They not be there, don't you think it's high time? Change your life's direction, get off the firing line.
Coming out of turn 4, Joey Logano wins at Chicagoland Speedway. Hey, this is Joey Logano, driver number 20, Home Depot Toyota. You're listening to audio8ball.com.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart, and I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
Choosing a new family pet? Veterinarian Dr. Kim Michaels shares her thoughts on the subject.
As a veterinarian and a mother of 4, I'm constantly asked, can we get another pet? Suggestions range from Easter bunnies to dinosaurs and are always followed by, I promise to take care of it. Choosing a pet should never be made on impulse. It should involve family input and even a little research. You need to consider who will take care of the pet, how much time and space is required, the cost of food, housing, and veterinary care, and your family members' ages, health, and personalities. A fish or guinea pig may be perfect for a youngster in a small apartment, while a teenager on a farm might be ready for the adventure of owning a horse. Your veterinarian can help you pick the perfect pet for your family and lifestyle. And don't worry, I have yet to find the family that really needs a dinosaur.
A public service message from this station and the American Veterinary Medical Association.
The world famous audio8ball.com. The world famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else? 1, 2, 3.
Turn it up. Big wheels keep on turning, carry me home just like you. Singing songs about the Southland. I miss Alabama once again, and I think it's the same. Yes. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. Well, I heard O'Neal put her down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember. I said that man don't need him around anyhow. Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are blue. Sweet home Alabama.
Welcome back on into the Pit Pass. And if you're watching on the webcam, you're seeing Kenny James and Sergio Alexander drinking Kool-Aid, making fools out of themselves in the room right next to me. I work with interesting people. The injury bug has struck the MMA world once again. Find out all the fighters that will now be out of the action coming up on the Cage Chat right now on the world famous audio8ball.com. But you know what? It's kind of been an interesting show because whenever there's a death in the racing world, it's always different. We're all kind of, walking around with our tails between our legs right now. Both, Dan Weldon lost his life on Sunday, and so did Rick Huseman, off-road racer extraordinaire, and, both of them champions in their own right, multiple championships between both of them. And Sunday will forever be known as Black Sunday for me and for a lot of people in the motorsports community. And you know what? My heart goes out, and my thoughts and my prayers go out to the Weldon family, to the Huseman family, and to all of the friends and family who are just struggling to get by right now, and they're having a tough time. So my thoughts go out to them. You're in my prayers and you're in my thoughts. But to Dan Weldon and to Rick Huseman, champions live forever. So we will see you guys again. And every show I always end it with, simply saying, see you at the track. Reason being, because goodbye is too permanent. It's forever. I never want to say goodbye. But to Dan Weldon and to Rick Huseman, we will say goodbye today. But we will meet again sometime soon.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a